Do you know why the first generation F-Series are the best trucks ever? The year was 1948, and the new F-Series Ford trucks hit the market. Previously, Ford pickup trucks were on a modified car chassis, but now they had a dedicated truck chassis, also known as bonus built. Other changes from the previous years included the $1 million cab that was wider, longer, and taller than before. The suspension upgrades include parallel leaf springs, modern tube shock absorbers, and an open drive shaft. The engine options were a standard 226 inline 6 that made 95 horsepower and 180 foot-pounds of torque. The optional 239 flathead V8 made 100 horsepower and 170 foot-pounds of torque. The original price range was $900 to $1,500, and the price of a gallon of gas? 25 cents.
Cattle, for instance. Soon as they hear that horn, they come a-running. That means chow time, and they don't aim to miss it. Yes, our Ford F3 Express is the general handyman on this ranch. Even with loads up to 1,400 pounds, it's mighty easy on gas. We had this truck in Ford's economy run, and I'm glad we did.
The F1 had a payload capacity of 1,000 pounds to 1,450 pounds, with a 6.5-foot bed and a 114-inch wheelbase. The transmission options were a light-duty 3-speed manual, a heavy-duty 3-speed manual, or a 4-speed manual with an extra low first gear. The rear axle was a Dana 41, most likely came with a 373 gear ratio. Later in 51, the Dana 44 replaced the 41, and you would most likely get a 392 ratio, but a 427 ratio was also an option. Brakes for the F1 were hydraulic drum brakes that measured 11-inch in diameter. Payload capacity on the F2 was 1,935 pounds, and the bed size was 8 feet. This pushed the wheelbase to 122 inches. The transmission options were like the F1 except no light-duty 3-speed, only a heavy-duty 3-speed or 4-speed. The rear axle was a Timken full-floating axle, meaning the weight of the truck was on the axle housing, not the axle itself. The gear ratio was a little lower for the heavy loads, with either a 486 or 514 ratio. Because of the lower ratios, the top speed was only around 50 miles an hour, and the brakes were bumped up to a 12-inch diameter. The biggest difference between the F2 and the F3 was the payload capacity, which jumped up to 2,790 pounds for the F3. One notable change in the first generation F-Series is the grille. 48 to 50, the grille had more of a traditional look. While the 51-52 looked more stylish and modern for the time. Another change was the 3-speed transmission shifter. It went from the floor in 48-49 to the column in 50-52. .226 flathead inline 6 got replaced in 1952 with the 215 overhead valve inline 6 that made 101 horsepower at 185 foot-pound of torque. If you like this kind of content, subscribe, leave a like down below, and leave a comment too if you like. The first generation F-Series never offered four-wheel drive. However, there has been many swaps over the years. Alongside the F-Series trucks were the Pannal trucks that came with the same drivetrain as the F-Series. In Canada, the F-Series was rebranded and sold as Mercuries. The M-Series were the same as the F-Series except for unique badges and grills. And that was it for the first generation F-Series. But that's not where the story ends. Let's face it, there's nothing exciting about 100 horsepower. However, people have been modifying these trucks for years into insane hot rods. Because of the stylish curves of the first generation F-Series, they are often fitted with newer engines, transmission, axles, brakes, and suspension to keep them around well into the future. And that's why the first generation Ford F-Series are the best trucks ever. Thanks for watching. Do you have a suggestion for which is the best truck ever? Leave a comment down below.